What happens when a four-time Formula One world champion faces the most dangerous track in motorsport for the first time? Can Max Verstappen's F1 skills translate to GT3 racing on the legendary Nürburgring? And why are seasoned GT3 drivers calling his driving style terrifyingly fast? Today we're witnessing history as Max trades his F1 car for a Ferrari 296 GT3 on over 20 kilometers of the most unforgiving asphalt in motorsport. They call it the Green Hell. The Nürburgring. What happens when you take a four-time world champion out of his Formula One car and drop him into completely unfamiliar territory? How does someone go from never racing GT3 cars to setting lap times that veteran Nürburgring specialists couldn't match? And why are F1 insiders quietly discussing what Max Verstappen just accomplished at the Nürburgring as a warning sign for the rest of the grid? Last weekend, Max Verstappen didn't just win his first GT3 race. He delivered a masterclass that has the motorsport world asking uncomfortable questions about the gap between him and every other driver on the planet. The stage was set at the infamous Nürburgring Nordschleife for round 9 of the NLS series. This isn't just any circuit. It's the track that has humbled legends and ended careers. 20 kilometers of pure terror, where one mistake can cost you everything. For Verstappen, partnering with Emily Fry Racing and Chris Lulham, this represented something he'd never done before: GT3 racing. The morning started ominously. Fog delayed qualifying by 30 minutes, leaving drivers staring at a slippery, treacherous track surface. When the green flag finally waved, intermediate tires were the only sensible choice. The conditions were exactly the kind that separate the exceptional from the merely good. What happened next defied logic. On his very first flying lap in a GT3 car, Verstappen set the fastest time with an 8:46.6, 24 seconds quicker than his nearest competitor. 24 seconds on his first attempt, at a track he'd never raced on in this category. But that was just the beginning. On his second push lap, Verstappen found another 9 seconds, clocking an 8:37.818 before switching to slick tires. The lap record holder, Christian Krognes, was watching from the pits, and you have to wonder what was going through his mind. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn, because what looked like early dominance was about to become something much more complicated. As track conditions improved and slick tires came into play, the established order reasserted itself. This is where experience was supposed to matter. Christian Krognes, the man who holds the GT3 lap record at this circuit, went to provisional pole. Verstappen improved his time, but found himself fourth, still impressive, but no longer untouchable. The final flying laps would determine pole position. And this is where Verstappen encountered the great equalizer: traffic. In the crucial third sector, he lost precious seconds navigating slower cars. His final lap of 8:09.12 featured the absolute fastest first and fourth sectors of anyone, but that traffic cost him dearly. Krognes crossed the line seconds later with an 8:06.0, claiming pole by 3 seconds. Veteran Frank Stippler squeezed Verstappen to third place by just over a second. For a moment, it looked like natural order had been restored. The specialists had prevailed, or so it seemed. What nobody anticipated was how differently race day would unfold, and the performance that followed would leave everyone scrambling for explanations. The formation lap lasted nearly 20 minutes, plenty of time for nerves to build. When the lights went out, Verstappen demonstrated why he's regarded as the best starter in Formula One. He immediately jumped into second place, slipstreaming pole sitter Krognes down the main straight. Then came the move that defined the race. Breaking into turn 1 from the outside, Verstappen executed a classic overtake that had the packed grandstands on their feet. Behind them, chaos erupted as the number 917 Porsche made contact with Krognes, but Verstappen was already clear and into the lead. What followed was automotive poetry. By lap 5, Verstappen had opened up a 16.7-second lead and set the fastest lap of the race with a 71.514, just seconds slower than the outright lap record. That single lap was faster than any NLS pole position set in 2025. The performance data tells a story that veteran Nürburgring watchers found almost impossible to believe. When Verstappen made his first pit stop on lap 7, He'd built a 23-second lead. His average lap time over 15 laps was 8:01.2:45, and he consistently increased his gap to second place for 12 straight laps. By the time he handed over to teammate Chris Lulham, after a 2-hour, 5-minute stint, Verstappen was 65.6 seconds ahead of Frank Stippler. To put that in perspective, his fastest lap was 4.5 seconds quicker than his nearest rival in his first GT3 race at the Nürburgring. The question that's now circulating through the paddock is one that makes every other driver uncomfortable. Chris Lulham's task was simple: don't crash the car. The 22-year-old, making his own GT3 debut, faced yellow flags and traffic throughout his stint. The lead fluctuated as he navigated the challenges, dropping to 54 seconds when he made his pit stop with 45 minutes remaining, but it didn't matter. Despite the complications, despite the traffic, despite facing conditions that have caught out drivers with decades of Nürburgring experience, Lulham brought the Ferrari home with a 24.4-second victory margin. The commentators repeatedly noted that Verstappen's race pace looked like that of a veteran Nürburgring driver. The gaps he was pulling were reminiscent of his dominant RB19 days in Formula One. But this wasn't a car he'd spent years perfecting. This was his first time in the cockpit. From Azerbaijan's F1 podium to the Nürburgring's top step in the span of a week, Verstappen has demonstrated something that transcends categories, regulations, or experience levels. His skill behind the wheel appears to be genuinely category agnostic. Which brings us back to those uncomfortable questions F1 insiders are quietly discussing. If Verstappen can dominate GT3 racing on his first attempt, what does that say about the competitive gap in Formula One? How do you prepare for a driver who appears capable of mastering any discipline he touches? As the hunt for his 5th F1 World Championship continues in Singapore, Verstappen has added another dimension to his legend. The question isn't whether he'll win more GT3 races, it's whether there's any form of motorsport that can truly challenge him. What do you think this performance means for the rest of the F1 grid? And more importantly, what category should Verstappen try next? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more analysis of the moments that are reshaping motorsport, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on.